Okay, then right. Here's a question to you. I'm gonna go tough. I want to get some yards out of you. Now, do you feel? And I don't want to, like it says, look at the past as such, but I want to learn some things from the past. Do you feel that the lack of engagement over the last couple of years with the quote unquote Christian gospel young audience, that urban acts, because they've been doing well, but on a one extra on a different field, you know, the field that, you know, I would say when you guys were on the scene hard, Green Jade and whatever, you engage in a number of fields, but you would do main shows within the quote unquote typical Christian world. Christian world. Now the disengagement, and you would go and do radio shows from Dave Prince on you know what I mean, on choice to the main shows, and you do all the whole media circuit in terms of gospel and secular. Now, being honest, there's been a focal point for secular, which is BBC One Extra smashing it, and they're doing their thing, and we haven't got a real loads of different media, you could say, to hit out to that can relate to. But do you feel that detachment has detached them from an audience which could have got them through now?
I don't know, because traditionally that audience weren't paying no money. Like, as much as I love y'all, y'all weren't paying my bills. I don't know. I think regardless of how you get to your audience has to be your audience. And the thing is, just being on One Extra or doesn't mean you've engaged with your audience.
Okay, cool. That's
their audience. And like I'll give the example. There was a band called Rough Copy who were on X Factor a few years ago.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember their Instagram following although their Twitter following went from like hundreds to like tens of thousands in the time that they were on there, right?
Yeah.
So in their mind, it was like, oh man, we got huge new audience. So when they started putting out stuff, what they didn't realize is the audience that they built was the X Factor audience, and they weren't making X Factor music, and that audience didn't engage with what they were doing. So they had numbers, but they didn't have engagement. And I think that that's the thing. It's about, as an artist, what you do need to understand is your audience, the people who are engaged in you, they are the people who are going to buy you the Bentley. You know, those are the people who are going to be paying your mortgage. And you have to have made sure that you have engaged with them in a way that they feel comfortable in buying and supporting what you're doing.
Brilliant.
I manage an artist at the moment. We just put out a single last week. And we had originally planned a launch party where we bought a lot of merch stuff. So now what we're doing, instead of selling it at the party, is we're doing engagements on Instagram where we're giving away some of the stuff we were going to sell for free. Because we want to make sure that our audience still feels engaged. We've got something from it. There's a benefit of them being involved. And, you know, we're still, you know, we just put out something. We're still getting decent Spotify numbers. Even though people are saying that Spotify isn't being listened to as much. People are actually now listening more to radio than they are listening to Spotify. And they're streaming on YouTube more than they're listening to Spotify. So that's an interesting thing as well for artists.
Yeah, that's very interesting with the switch. Like, you know, because like I said, I use Spotify a lot. I still think it's a very great, powerful tool. I think for me, I agree with that statement, but you have to look at it from this perspective. You still probably got more people growing on Spotify, but what it is that there's a lot of people that ain't got Spotify that are now coming on streaming music. So where it might have been, for example, 1 million people streaming on Spotify who were just streamers.com. Now you find you have 2 million people on Spotify, but now you've got 2 million on YouTube. All of a sudden came out the woodwork because they've done the app YouTube Music, which has kind of messed up the game. But okay, then